Hey everybody, welcome to another one of my videos. The purpose of this video is going to be just updating the case of the Breda Murders, information that has come out on various news websites and what was mentioned in court. Now what I thought would be very interesting, and what I have mentioned in previous videos, is the idea that perhaps there was an additional person who was involved in these crimes. As yet, obviously, the court case is still going on. We don't know who is guilty. Nobody has been found guilty as yet. But I would like you guys, as members of the public, to consider, one or two bits of information that has now come to light. Now, I'm on the News 24 website, and this is regarding the first witness that was called to the stand, Sergeant Kleinhans. Now, Sergeant Kleinhans is from the Stellenbosch Police Department, and he was one of the first people inside the house on the 27th of January 2015. Now, what I'd like to point out is what he said. Alright, so at 11:57 on the 24th of April, while he was in court and giving his testimony, he said he got out of the car with his weapon, possibly that the suspect could still be there. So he drew his weapon in case the suspect could still be there. And then he encountered Henri van Breda. He asked Henri if he needed any medical attention. He said that his family had been attacked with an axe and that they were upstairs in the bedrooms. The suspect said that he could, the policeman said that he could smell alcohol on Henri's breath. And then the policeman said that Henri van Breda didn't say anything else. The policeman entered the house, scanned and moved up the steps, and then saw the bloody axe laying there. Now this is the important thing that I want to point out. Then he said he climbed over the axe and went upstairs. Saw the person laying on the back and on stomach, Marli and her mother. The first thing I noticed, I couldn't see anything wrong. Only after I ascended the stairs, downstairs looked fine. Remember, I said nobody made it to the ground floor and no one made it to the stairwell in my previous videos. Also in my previous videos, you can see I did mention that there was no signs of a break-in. Nothing was stolen. Desalza Estate said that there was no breach in security. Here this policeman, Sergeant Kleinhans, is confirming this. This is the part that I really want to point out. At 12:09, 24th of April, Sergeant Kleinhans then says, upstairs, the lady lying on her stomach was moving her arm and leg. That means, now this is now referring to Marli van Breda. Marli van Breda was semi-conscious, right? She was struck once on her front left-hand side of her head, and her mom, who had been struck multiple times with an axe, and all the victims had received multiple head blows except for one of the victims who survived. The policeman then said, I could save a life, and I contacted paramedics for help. So what this means is that these attacks took place at approximately 3 o'clock in the morning. Marli received a single blow to her head from an axe. Teresa, Martin, and Rudy received multiple blows from an axe on their heads, and they died virtually instantaneously. And from approximately 3 o'clock in the morning until approximately 7 o'clock in the morning, which is 4 hours, Henri then spent 4 hours in that house in the presence of this girl lying on her stomach in a semi-conscious state. She was still moving. Now let's assume, and I've got to be careful what I'm saying here, but let's assume that Henri is guilty, which is what a lot of people and members of the public are saying. Henri committed these crimes, right? He looked at his mother, who was dead. He looked at his father, who was dead. He looked at his brother, dead. Head was hit multiple times with an axe. Then he saw his sister, who could move an arm or a leg. She was in a semi-conscious state. Now, let's assume Henri's guilty. Did he at no point think to himself, you know what, if this girl wakes up or gets up or moves out of here, she's an eyewitness to whatever I've done. And therefore, just on her testimony alone, I will never see the light of day. They will arrest me. I will probably not even get bail. How do the members of the public who see all of this information, I'm curious to hear how they piece it all together, how they think, Henri saw this and he just kind of thought, oh no, he made a mistake, assuming Henri's guilty. I'm not saying he's guilty, but assuming that he's guilty. And my other question is that somebody who, spent 4 hours in a critical state after they had their necks slit, you would think perhaps they would bleed to death within no more than an hour. Somehow, miraculously, this person in their semi-conscious state managed to survive. And the other miraculous thing about this case is, how did one person acting on their own with an axe manage to attack and kill 3 adults and severely injure a teenager with a single blow to her head with an axe? And yet nobody made it to the ground floor and nobody made it to the stairwell, despite the fact that the stairwell, the beginning of the stairwell, is located very closely to the bedrooms. And yet nobody made it even to that stairwell. Now, I'd love to know, because these members of the public have all got this broad view that Henri is guilty and Marli is a victim of circumstances here. I'd like members of the public, please, to comment on this video and tell me, in your opinion, please, how do you think this then occurred? I would love to know.